The Battle of Washtenaw County goes to the Maize and Blue. 83-66. It is a final done at the Chrysler Center in Ann Arbor, Michigan by 17. That's what they led by at the half, and that's what they win it by. Welcome in. We're here after every Michigan basketball game on the Michigan Basketball post-game show, talking about the Wolverines. Michigan now over 500. I'd say a business-like, workman-like performance, getting back after getting a victory last week in Iowa City against the Hawkeyes, and then coming back today. Michigan was a big-time favorite, and they played like a big-time favorite. Never really threatened in this one. There was a point in the second half where EMU had trimmed the lead to 10 points, and they had a pretty clean look from the left wing for a three-pointer, where if that one goes in, then you're getting into a situation where it's like, watch out. But the Eagles were not able to convert that three, and then Michigan went on a little spurt of their own, and that was it. And they just outlasted Eastern from there. Michigan shooting really well in this game, especially from downtown. Michigan goes 12 of 27. That's 44%, and shoot 54% from the floor. So good job by Michigan shooting the ball. We'll get all of the numbers for you. Let's take a look at, I put a couple notes down for this game. It was game number 11 on the season. You had Joan Howard coming back as head coach. We will get to the situation with the strength and conditioning coach, John Sanderson, and it did not appear that that Sanderson was on the bench, which is a situation. Joan Howard speaking right now. If we see, I'll look to see if he explains it any further, and then I can just give you some thoughts on it as well. But, just three more games. Now 2 more games for the Maize and Blue this calendar year, and it was the Battle of Washtenaw County with the Eagles driving over from Ypsilanti. And if you took this one in, Michigan through 10 games this year, they had stayed with the same starting lineup of McDaniel and Burnett in the back court with TW2, Olivier Kamwa, and Terrace Reed Jr. up front. The move was made today to insert Will Cheddar into the starting lineup, which, people had been calling for. Actually, had called for it myself for, a couple weeks in a row, a couple games in a row, except last game, Terrace Reed Jr. played his best game in a Michigan uniform and went for a career high in points, and he was the number one star of the game. And now they make the move, which, that was a little curious. Starting out the second half, Reed Jr. was back in the starting lineup. So I don't know, I'll that would be a good question for Joan as well. It makes me think, like, I don't know, maybe Reed was 2 minutes late. I don't know. That would be, that is complete speculation. But when you see something like that, play really well, not in the starting lineup, but then he's back for the second half, at least makes me think that, whatever. It worked. It was just, something that you think about. I'm sure you think about it or thought about it as well. Maybe not. In this game, Michigan, I mentioned they get up by 17 at the half, and you had TW2 and Doug McDaniel leading the way. 13 points, Baker's dozen for Terrence Williams, the second. He shot well from outside in this game. Doug McDaniel had 11 at the break. The final was 83-66. Michigan moves to 6-5 on the year, and for them, that is obviously good news. Taking a look at the box score in this one overall for everyone, you had Olivier Kamwa, 17 points, 9 boards, and 5 assists, 7 of 10 from the floor for Kamwa. That's a stat filler. Nice game. Namari Burnett pours in 14. About 3 of 5 from downtown for Burnett. He looked good tonight. Mentioned TW2. He had a baker's dozen at the half. He ended up with 13 points on the game. Doug McDaniel, he had 11 points at the half. He stayed with 11 points for the game, 2 boards and 4 feeds. Will Cheddar getting the start, 5 points, 6 boards for Cheddar. And then Terrace Reed Jr. off the bench. He had 13, 8 and 1. And Trey Jackson was active with 7 points off the board. You had a couple guys, Jalen Llewellyn. I don't know if he's more comfortable, more and more coming back from the knee injury. You would think so. You would hope so. You would hope that you would even see more from him. Llewellyn ends up knocking down a 3 from the wing, 3 points, had a board and a couple of feeds. And then at the very end, they cleared the benches, and even Yo-Yo was able to get in there, the version of Michigan's victory cigar as it goes, at least so far this year. But Michigan getting the victory. We always take some feedback, and Michigan Go Blue jumps in, and he's looking ahead already to Tuesday. That's Michigan's next game. He's talking about beating Florida, and also mentioning that they got to play George Washington more. You know, if George Washington III is not getting any run when you don't have, like Michigan, it's not like they have a long bench, a deep bench, and there's opportunity is what I'm saying for George Washington III. And remember, he's only a freshman. You're not just going to put him out there if he is not performing up to what you would think would be a freshman capability in practice. I mean, you're just not putting him out there just to put him out there. And so, maybe further along in the Big Ten season, you see a little bit of, there's nothing that when he's been in the game that you've been like, oh yeah, let's definitely, you'd want to see him more like he's just coming out when the lights are bright or something like that. So, we'll see on that. I mean, would you like to see him? Yeah, you'd like to see more guys coming in. You like to see a freshman coming out there and contributing like that. But you also can understand you can't. I mean, you can call for it, but there's been no indication that he deserves more playing time, and yet they could use guys off the bench. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at the upcoming schedule for Michigan, and that is brought to you by this feed that you are watching or listening to right now, the Maize and Blue Review, and also the Good Afternoon Michigan Football and Basketball Show, which you can watch 3 times a week at 2:00 on this very feed, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And for that upcoming schedule, there it is, staring you right in the face Tuesday. It is the Jumpman Invitational down in Charlotte, North Carolina. Michigan draws Florida, the Florida Gators, in that game. That'll be a 7:00 tip on Tuesday. Looking forward to seeing, Michigan did a nice job getting the win at Iowa and then coming back and getting a victory today. They could easily, you can make a case, and, we had talked about this after they lost to Indiana. Go out there, stack some wins, and end the month on a high note. If you go out there and beat Florida, then you would think McNeese that, Michigan at home on Friday, December the 29th, that would be a very winnable game, a game that they should win. So, you beat Florida right now as we're talking about it. A key for this Michigan team heading into 2024, a victory, and then, you're thinking about 4 wins in a row, and then you're getting into the conference season in 2024. I think you'd be feeling pretty good about things. So, you drop the game to Florida. Maybe there's more focus on, the things that are off the floor. That was kind of the focus. Nobody was really talking about, I don't know, I didn't hear anybody talking about the game against Iowa. Everything had to do with what's going on, physical confrontation, verbal confrontation, what's up with the strength and conditioning coach, all of that. No mention really of on the broadcast about any of that kind of situation from the Big Ten Network. And, we'll see, if Joan Howard wants to explain that situation at all. I would say that he should explain that situation. I don't think, coaches like to talk about, we're going to handle this internally. That's with our team inside the locker room. Hopefully you'd have some reporters saying, we get that, Joan, but, there have been a few reports out there that it was Jace and a trainer, and then your strength and conditioning coach went over the top. He filed an HR report, and then you had to have your athletic director this week come out and say that, there was this review and there was not going to be any suspensions or anything there. But considering your track record, you'd have to trim that question up a little bit. I'm talking about his track record at Madison 2 years ago, and the year before that in the Big Ten tournament when he was chasing around and had to be, restrained big time in the Big Ten tournament. Those are, I had never seen those two incidents. I'd never seen anything like that in my entire life in college basketball. Now, I know people, I was looking at John Bacon, who was on Twitter, was calling it, like 4. Like, I forgot what he called, when you're on the floor and you're drawing tees or you're yelling at, that kind of stuff goes on. This situation, this kind of situation can go on as well. But when you have those other two heated public situations, I would think that he would have to clean things up. If he didn't want to say anything, I'd say, you know what, Joan, you've got your family. I saw his wife on Twitter, saying things about the situation. I saw, his son on Jet on Twitter saying, you guys don't know anything, but, they weren't offering anything up. So if Jet's not offering anything up, his wife's not offering anything up, saying, you guys just don't know the story, and then Joan doesn't want to offer anything up, then where are we at? You're there for complete I wouldn't say complete speculation. Now, Jeff Goodman came out, and it sounded like he had the story. And his story is that Jace Howard was dealing with a trainer, and that situation wasn't going wonderful. And the strength and conditioning coach had to say something, had something to say about the interaction with the trainer and Jace. And then Joan overheard Sanderson and what he had to say. And that's when the two got face to face and things got heated. Now that's a lot of, these two and their interaction. And then Joan overheard something. And then, so there's a lot of that going on. I would think that he would want to clear that up, but hey, that's me. If I was down there in that post game, I would think that I would want some clarity on that. If you didn't want to give any clarity, I'd say, your family is, putting things out on Twitter. There's a lot of speculation about this, considering the track record. What is it? And then we'll see. So let's check, having said all of that, over here saying, I'm anticipating that, he's not going to say anything. And then here I am, saying what I would ask him. So we'll see here shortly if we can get anything. He's probably just now getting up there and speaking as I talk right here. Let's see. We've got Howard getting a hug from the President Sano Ono on the court after his post-game TV interview. So far, that's what we have as it goes with Joan Howard. So we'll just have to find out and see what he has to say. And Michigan is, you've probably heard this, like Michigan, I don't know if it's just Michigan says this. There is there are probably courses in public relations. I would imagine that they say things like this as well, that you don't want to make a story and give it legs, make a 1-day story, a 2-day story, and so on. And this was a week-long story. And Phil Martelli, who was filling in still as for Joan Howard this week, when he was on a Zoom, when there was coaching availability, it wasn't Joan. he deflected the question. And so it's, this is it. We have not heard from Joan Howard. We know, it's his return as a coach, and from the health situation as the head coach, even though he's been on the bench. If I was advising Joan Howard, I would just tell what it is. Like, look, if the situation is with Michigan and Joan Howard and John Sanderson, that these two can't get along, that Howard doesn't want him as the strength and conditioning coach anymore because these two have irreconcilable differences, which it really could be that way. It was a spat. Do you like that inside of a team? Like, these guys are all, together? No, you don't like that. And that's why it's talked about so much. But look, things happen like that. Relationships go bad. And so, get up there and say, yeah, look, we weren't seeing eye to eye. And what's going to be best for the basketball program is that, we go our separate ways. Why doesn't he just, say something like, if that's the case, if they just feel like he's going to be away from a while and then he can get back, if they've not, I put this in air quotes, kiss and made up. I don't know if they, make up, but, it's been over a week now. Like, I thought I knew the best case scenario was Sanderson was back on the bench today. And then Howard, after the game, said, yeah, things happen within a team. We talked it out, and we're going to be stronger moving forward. The team won, and I think you move on from there. Now, like I said, we'll just have to wait and see what he has to say about the situation before, say anything else about, just how it ended up going down. So that's how I see it. We'll see with that situation. Michigan again playing on Tuesday night down in Charlotte, North Carolina in the Jumpman Invitational against Florida. Workmanlike performance today for the Maize and Blue, shooting well from the field and from downtown, taking care of Eastern Michigan. You don't want to lose to, a team from the Mid-American Conference. You certainly don't want to lose from one right down the road, and that has happened before, and Michigan prevented that, getting the 17-point victory. Thanks so much for listening, watching. We'll talk with you on this very feed after the game on Tuesday night, Michigan and Florida, on the Michigan Basketball Postgame Live. Until then, 83-66 the final. Everybody have yourself a great